Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Seize Your Business. I'm your host, Jim Wazak, and our co-host, Kevin O'Flaherty, is not able to be with us today. Today, our guest is Andrew Brown. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome to
Jim,
the show.
What's going on? How's it going today?
And our topic is overcoming adversity. And Andrew has had some adversity, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but he's also ex-U.S. Army, so I wanted to thank him for your service.
You're very welcome,
really
sir.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
And so you were almost killed at one time, right?
Yeah.
So tell us the story, because this will probably tie into overcoming adversity, which is our topic today.
Absolutely. I'm a former medical service officer for the United States Army. So I served in the military 14 and a half years, and I was 7 hours from graduating from medical school. And at that time, we were on our way from a venue, and our car broke down on the expressway. And so two of my military buddies and myself got out, and three strangers that were good Samaritans kind of got out and helped us out. Mm-hmm. A driver that was unaware we were on the expressway hit the back end of our truck, and the truck just took off and knocked down all six people. It was really bad.
Oh my gosh.
Really, really bad. And so, another driver, called emergency response, and they kind of came together, and ambulances and helicopters and so forth. And what my mom said, what they had did was that they said that the ambulance put everybody in all the people that were injured, put them in an ambulance and put me in a helicopter.
Okay.
Yeah, put me in a helicopter, so I was kind of the chosen one.
The worst one.
Worst one, yeah. And so when I got to the hospital, they called my mom and told I had 13 hours to live and to make funeral arrangements for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So it was a really, really a bad accident. Really, really bad. I had a cranial replacement. I had a subdural hematoma. Mm-hmm. It was a blood clot in the brain.
Oh my gosh.
So I had a sinus repair, maxillofacial fractures, broken jaw, broken chin, trach, crushed lungs, cracked ribs, broken hip, dislocated leg, and I was also in a coma. So
was there any part of you not injured in this thing? That's just about everything.
Seemed like he got it from the head to the toe.
Yeah.
But just thanks be to God. Lots of prayer support from the families. Lots of just lots of support. By the time my mom made it down, we're talking about overcoming adversity. Sometimes when you're in a traumatic situation, everybody kind of don't see the same thing. Mm-hmm. And the irony of my particular situation was, when my mom actually made it down to the hospital, the doctor told her that if I had a fever, blood pressure went up, or I got an infection, anything of that magnitude, they wasn't doing the surgeries. And so I'm just thankful to God for her and the prayers of the family, the prayers of my military peers, and just even folks. I mean, when they realized I was in a coma, because they were having a New Year's event, and then my teacher had called me. By the time they had called, they told them I was in this traumatic event. Man, they had sent it out on the email and was calling people. So it was wonderful to know that people around the globe was embracing me, and trying to, so it was really good.
Yeah. So then you said it took you like 2.5 years or something before you could walk and talk and sort of function again?
Yeah. So the interesting thing that happened, Jim, was this. When I came out of surgery, I still was in a coma. The doctor gave me 24 to 72 hours to live. So just wasn't but a miracle from God. God had His hand on it, and I thank God for it. He decided that I wasn't going. I had some more work to do.
I guess so.
I mean? Because
and you've turned this into a book, overcoming adversity. And your dreams matter. And tell us about the book a little bit.
So overcome adversity, your dreams matter. The segue of it is you can overcome anything if you believe and try. That's the takeaway for the people. And what I wanted to do in overcome adversity was to be able to share my story and just have various threads in it in terms of just how life is, whether it's having a dream. And like I had a dream. I was 14 years my military career. I'm third generation military. I'm the first military officer.
Okay.
So I'm well on my way.
Yeah.
So whether you have a dream and you're pursuing a defining moment, and something happens in that space, it talks about family and their support and how family approach things in an adverse manner, but how they bring a unique gift and talent to really support the whole. And it just talks about just kind of life in general, facing those defining moments, right? When you can, because there's something, I believe, Jim, that everybody has something very special.
Right.
And they have something very special, right? And what happens is, I think sometimes in the nuance of life, and it's just in the rolling of life, day-to-day hustle of life, we really forget our own personal testimony, right? Whether it was getting our first A in class or our first hit, whatever. I don't know what it was, but but I think we all forget that special testimony that we have, whether it's landing the first idea job or even just first getting the job, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I think what I wanted to do in the book was I shared a little bit about military in terms of our land navigation course. As people, maybe the public doesn't know, they always see us going around the globe places, and they put us in strange places, whether we're in the woods or the desert or something. We always in strange places, right? They really don't understand the training that we had to go through to get to those strange places, right? We're just not in the strange places, trying to find something to do. We're really scared to be there. And so I wrote a little chapter 2 about that experience called land navigation. Okay. Right, so it was called character development, but I took a land navigation kind of analogy and just introduced them to our world and what nature looks like. So it's really good, and I'm really excited about that.
So on the topic of overcoming adversity. Now in your case, I mean, you had truly a life and death adversity. A lot of people, it's they forgot to buy milk on their way home, and the wife is mad or something, but. With true adversity, what are some of the linchpins? You kind of mentioned support and prayer, but what? So if somebody just has learned about some tragedy and they now have to deal with it, what are like sort of the first couple things you would suggest they do?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. This particular season of my life has afforded me an opportunity to be at the hospital with a lot of my own personal friends and family that are really in this defining moment with this particular person having a medical issue, and sometimes they're mature in age, right? And they've been dealing with this for some time, and then sometimes you're just being young. Yeah. One of the things that I always share with people, because you can't pick and choose how people are gonna respond. They just got a different emotional, how they view the world. But one of the things I encourage people to do is to just step back for a second and take a breath, right? You got to take back a breath because one of the things you have to do is you have to figure out who you are in that situation, right? You have to figure out who you are in that situation. For me, based on real examples, when I come into these situations, right, I know that I hold a position of leadership within the context of the family. I'm not the senior folks where the matriarchs are, and I'm not the youngest person there. But in this particular space, in between your 40s and 50s and your 30s, I hold a place of leadership in that space. So how I respond has something to do with how everybody else is going to be impacted, and they're all watching me. Yeah. Right. Yeah, sure. And so when you step back for a second, you can really kind of relax. I'm not saying you don't have permission to cry. I'm not saying you don't have permission to be. I'm not saying none of that. I'm saying, but for step back for a few seconds and just relax. What is really happening? Take stock. Where you're at. Yeah, where you at? What's really happening? Because if it's somebody like my grandmother. Two grandmothers just recently passed, 114, 115, right? 2014, 2015. Okay. And so one was 85, one was 100. 100, wow. Right? Okay. One grandmother had 5 strokes. Right? Now this woman loved the Lord and on fire, but she had 5 strokes, right? She had, was it something I could really change the context of? Not really.
Yeah, right.
But did I talk to her in the midst of a lot of these different strokes experiences that she had? Oh, absolutely, right? What did I come to the house to help her out when she fell? Absolutely, you know what I mean? So, but in the context of her health, I wasn't nothing I could really do to change the dynamics of her health per se.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in that space, I had to come back to the things she kind of taught me about, right? And having a spiritual balance, right? And she told me, like God is in control. He gonna have. So I had to relax on what she told me and just be supportive. Right. My grandmother, who was 100 years of age, wonderful woman, spirited. But she lost her vision. Right, you know what I'm saying? So two different people, two different things. My grandmother, 85 years old. Her last day, she 18 months. She couldn't speak anymore. She lost her voice. Yeah. Right. So the last time she had a voice when we had a family reunion. That was the last time she had a voice. After that, voice gone. Yeah. So it's just a matter of one of the things that helped me out when I was writing the book, I had spent a lot of time in prayer, and a lot of time in reading the Bible, and a lot of time, getting some context around what was going on in my world, because my best friend died. Okay. So I'm rationalizing now him versus me. So that's a conversation that nobody can't really help me with. I got to take some time back out. I got to step back and get some spiritual counseling on that. You know what I mean? Right. So one of the things that God was telling me was, he said, I chose you for this particular event. And that was out of like Isaiah 49:1. He's like, hey, I chose you. So once now, did I want to say, well, man, what about the accident? I mean, all the Viking. I got 60 screws in my body. I got 40 in my skull, 7 in my mouth, 13 in my hip. I've been through a raw experience, right? Yeah. All that. Did I need to do all that? No. The other alternative is you could not be here. Yeah, right. Right? Exactly. No, you here, I got you, right? And so the idea of it is, I think, to step back just for a second, process it. Right. Sometimes process what the person has really shared with you. Bring that into focus. You know what I mean? Who am I in the space? Right?
Well, I know in your main work, you're helping people financially. Yeah. And I think one way people can probably be somewhat prepared for overcoming adversity is to have a financial plan in place.
Absolutely.
Why don't you speak a little bit to the importance of that and how you do that and why that matters, that sort of thing?
Jim, I thank you for pointing that out. Part of my life's work as well is that I always wanted to be on Wall Street. When I was in college, I worked at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Okay. I was one of the best market reporters down there. And I couldn't stay because I had a contract with the military, so I had to... Sure. But I was in two wonderful worlds, right? Yeah. Serving the flag and serving finance. I was in two great worlds. Yeah. But when I had the auto accident, it really brought the importance of finance into a really robust perspective. Sure. Just starting from the fact of just having, insurance, right? Just at the hospital. My medical bill after Onslaught initially was $250,000, $250,000. Right, and so you're talking about surgeries. You're talking about 7. I had to have 4 surgeries while I was in a coma. Then when I came out of the coma, I had to have 3 more surgeries. And so you're talking about surgery. You're talking about medevac care. You're talking about transportation. You're talking about prescriptions. All that care. All those doctors. All those specialists. So one of the things that people don't know, and one of the things I want to be a beacon of light for is that is something that we don't want to run from. Yeah. You want to run into that, right? And whatever that is that you need to do as far as health insurance, as far as getting, health insurance first, getting that squared away, just get it, right? And just have faith to know that you can pay it, right? But make sure you have it, because that thing will disrupt your whole family.
Well, and excuse me, but you make me think of something else, that even a younger person should have like a medical power of attorney. Yes. Because while you were in a coma, somebody had to be making these decisions, and that's, of course, obviously something Kevin can help with. But super. So what else do you work on with people? So having this financial plan.
So having the financial plan. So what I look at it, how I look at it in terms of now is financial education. So we really kind of look at the 4 tiers of protection, debt management, emergency fund, and investments. Sometimes people have that strategy backwards, right? And it's not that they just necessarily have it backwards. It's just that there's just more education that needs to go forward in terms of how you doing it, right? Yeah. And so I'm all for whatever TSP programs, 401ks, all those programs are excellent. Yeah. But the idea behind it is that looking at it from my real life experience, that program, that strategy is inverted. It's kind of the wrong way, right? Because what happens is if you start investing up front and you start putting money away here, you really can't flow into the things that money needs to be protected of, right? Yeah, right. And so you sometimes miss your protection, right? Because you assume that your money here is going to take care of that, or you look at another benefit through work and you figure they got everything covered when in actuality they don't. So when I initially came back and talked about protection, even for insurance, right? And there are a variety of styles of insurance, and we can't talk about all of those things right now. But the ideal of it is being able to talk to a financial professional about the right type of insurance for your need. Because the ideal of it is that, thankfully for the military, for me, I had coverage. It would have covered everything that you need, but in a more fortunate, right? But in a more general sense for the general public, everything that you own with your signature name needs to be protected, right? And so you talk about your house, your car, and even though you can't really put a price tag on your life, the value that you bring to the family, that even needs to be protected as well. It has an immense value to it. You know what I mean? So your salaries and all those things, and because if you can ensure that the whole of it, then it takes a little burden off of you, and you can use various strategies to do other things and so forth and so on, right? But that's something what a financial professional would talk you through. But the other thing that I think is important too is your debt management, right? Because the reason I bring it up. So all of a sudden now I come out of the coma. I'm coming through my first tier of physical therapy. I'm still in trouble. I'm on a wheelchair, right? I got my mouth wired shut. You know what I'm saying? And I'm communicating with everybody via paper. So I'm kind of writing down notes on paper. And but just so happens that, I give my mom my wallet, and I say, hey, you can have access to the bank account, and I have money in the bank account, just whatever we need to do. Sure. And so the debt management also is when somebody also is out for work to help meet your needs, right? Is there some cash somewhere that can help supplement, like an exchange where you can, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we don't think about it in that context, right? And so that's why that emergency fund is really important, because if somebody's going to be off to meet my needs and my care, they missing out on time away from work to do something too. And it may not necessarily fit up under the parameters of what they were considered to be something to be off of. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something to think about. But the ideal of it is that the bills still need to be paid. Everybody needs to be paid. Then who gets paid? When do they get paid? You know what I mean? What do we need to get rid of? And then all the other stuff that's kind of coming towards your way gradually. So there has to be like a debt management strategy in place that people should consider.
I think that in closing, I'll just say that I think a lot of problems in our society that are attributed to other things really stem from the lack of a financial understanding and how to manage money and debt and all that. And if we could solve that, I think it would go a long way. So my hat's off to you for the work you're doing.
Absolutely. And I just want to share the last bit. The most important part of all of it too is the estate planning part, right? And I know that Flaherty Law can add some value in that space in the estate planning, but that's still a conversation that a financial professional and an attorney can have because you need to work that out, those details.
So Andrew, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, either to talk about their financial situation or they have some adversity to overcome, what's the best way to contact you?
The best way to contact me is at 312-719-6934. You can also visit my website at andrewbrownbooks.com. That's andrewbrownbooks.com.
Okay.
And I also have financial workshops that I host out in the Oak Brook Financial Center, right here out on Tower Road there. And so, but you can contact me through the website at wfgconnects.com.
Okay.
That's wfgconnects, CONNECTS.com /Andrew Brown, and you can stop there and visit the website and the blog.
Super. Well, and if you need me, of course, 630-272-3895. Andrew, thank you very much.
Jim, thank you so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Show.
Truly been an honor and a pleasure. Absolutely, absolutely.
All the best.
Yes, and all the viewers, overcome adversity. Your dreams matter. I'm proud of you. Make your dream happen.